Most NFL teams have cheerleaders. You see them on the sidelines during games and sometimes during halftime. Looks like they're having fun, right? But recent reports of harassment, lack of compensation, and gender discrimination have shined a light on the treatment of cheerleaders in the NFL. And the New York Times reported on some alleged details of the job that are sketchy to say the least. We talked to 4 former NFL cheerleaders who shared their experiences.
My experience was very positive. I really felt empowered by the entire experience.
The first team to have cheerleaders was the Baltimore Colts in 1954. Since then, getting a highly coveted spot on a squad has become super competitive. Every year, thousands of women try out for the job. That's right, it's a paid position, which is officially considered to be part-time, and each team sets the guidelines and pay scales for its respective squad. Not only do the cheerleaders have to be on hand for games, they also have mandatory practices and appearances. But as it turns out, they're not always getting properly compensated for their time. In 2014, the Oakland Raiders paid a $1.2 million settlement to former cheerleaders after a class action lawsuit alleging wage theft.
I think that the women are intimidated.
Sharon Vinnick is an attorney who worked on the 2014 class action lawsuit against the Raiders.
The women are told that they're really, really fortunate to be dancing. And if they don't want to dance, they don't have to. And they should be grateful for whatever opportunity they have. But compare that to the guys who are the quarterbacks. I mean, they're very lucky to be quarterbacks, but they're still paid millions of dollars. And there's this sense of equity that some of the women just don't perceive.
But this spring, thousands of women still showed up to try and make the cut for next season. We wanted to find out what the job is really like from the women who've actually done it. Twin sisters DRESDYNN and SCHUYLER WARNELL cheered for the Houston Texans from 2010 to 2014.
If I do have a daughter in the future, I would definitely allow her to cheer for the Houston Texans.
Jennifer OMOHUNDRO cheered for 2 teams over the course of 6 seasons. She started with the Tennessee Titans in 1999 and finished with the Atlanta Falcons in 2005.
I'm sad to hear that there's actually this really negative press that's going around. It's a wonderful experience. I think it's for everyone kind of how you treat it and how you take it.
These are my pom-poms.
Rachel SWARTZ cheered for the Philadelphia Eagles for the 2015 and 2016 seasons.
My experience was very positive. I really felt empowered by the entire experience. It is really unfortunate to hear a lot of the other stories about women who have not had the same positive experience I have.
We asked these former cheerleaders to address the issues raised in the recent headlines, and we started with compensation. Can you give me an idea of what you were paid or what you could take home in a season on average?
I mean, would you feel if it was appropriate if I asked you how much you made? So, no. We were paid for every hour we were in uniform or in practice.
It would not be something that you would live off of. It's been a long time. I don't remember, but I can tell you it was definitely minimal.
I think we got $200 a game? Yeah, $200 a game. So with that $200 a game, plus practicing, plus the appearances, we got paid for practicing, we got paid for appearances. If we had to drive to the appearance, we got reimbursed for...
They paid our mileage.
For the mileage. Yeah. I read articles about the Oakland Raiders and I'm just in shock. I'm like, how does this happen?
The cheerleaders for the Oakland Raiders, for example, got $1,250 per season. We understand from reports that mascots get paid between $40,000 and $60,000 per season plus benefits. And the least played NFL player, someone who's a bench warmer and doesn't play in a game, gets paid $100,000. The $1,250 is less money than someone who's selling hot dogs in the stands gets paid.
NFL cheerleading squads have strict social media restrictions. So strict, in fact, that a former New Orleans Saints cheerleader was fired over an Instagram post. She's currently suing for discrimination. According to the former cheerleaders we talked to, these restrictions are common.
I know it's a bit different in other organizations, but we did not have Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. We weren't allowed to have any of those, and that was mainly for our protection. I think there had been situations in the past where security measures had to be taken, and I think this was just one of them. And this was just one of the rules they had in order to make sure everyone felt safe and protected.
Personally, I always thought the rule was kind of stupid. I mean, to be quite frank, it's just how are you going to tell me that I can't post part of my life?
It consumes your life.
It consumes your life for the most part, so for the organization telling, you personally that you can't post what you do most of your days, I thought was really dumb.
But I think it's so funny when people like kind of retire, we say, or don't make the team, and you see their Instagram or Facebook, and it's like pictures.
Flooded with pictures.
While the no social media rule is common, some teams, like the Denver Broncos, allow their cheerleaders to post from social media accounts officially affiliated with the team. One of the most common rules for NFL cheerleaders is that interaction with players is strictly prohibited, and violation of this rule can result in immediate termination.
There were general rules of no fraternization, meaning like no dating the players. Even though they run past us on the field, sometimes that would be the only time we were really around them. I mean, they're professionals, they're doing their thing as athletes, and we were doing ours.
They make it very clear,
Yes.
Once you make the team, they give this big speech that you cannot be associated with the player.
Because we will get fired and they won't.
Yes,
So,
they'd even go as far as saying say you're at a restaurant and a couple of the players come in, we would have to leave because they don't even want us in the same room.
I think it's sort of like a rule that you would see in any other business. Don't date your coworkers. I think it's the same type of principle.
There's still some players that reach out to cheerleaders and the cheerleaders reach out to them. So obviously we sign these contracts, but not everyone abides by the rules. It's just, I think, human nature.
I would say there were some uncomfortable situations, but the organization did everything to really protect us and really preempt any of those situations, whether that's by having security with us at all appearances, or when you're in the suites taking pictures, having somebody hold a football instead of putting their arms around us. I do think, again, as these situations come up, the organization really took the right steps in making sure we felt safe at all times.
I think that comes to the territory, with anything. If you're going to put a bunch of girls together, there's going to be some mostly male interaction or male attention that you really don't want. So because of that, we always had a police escort that would walk.
The Texans were very good.
Yeah, very good at making sure that we felt safe. Our second year, a few girls had like stalkers.
The Texans organization is were right on it. They never had us worry or question our safety. Every time we practiced, we had a police officer with us. We never were alone.
So the women we talked to seem to have experiences that were overwhelmingly positive. But every team is different, and only time will tell if the ones under scrutiny will actually change for the better. What would be your advice to a cheerleader, an NFL cheerleader, who is on the fence about seeking further help about a possible injustice?
My advice would be that you should think hard about whether you want to be part of a system that allows this to happen or whether you want to change that system. Because it's only by women like our brave clients, Lacey and Sarah, standing up and advocating for a change that you're going to see differences as you go forward. So I encourage all women to stand up for the world they'd like to see.
Every experience is different, and if you're a former NFL cheerleader and you want to share your story with us, we'd love to hear it and we'd love to tell it. So if you want to share it with us, please email me at gflanagan@businessinsider.com.